When young children misbehave, parents often give them phones or tablets to calm them down. But this over reliance on electronics to help toddlers regulate emotions has potential to cause behavioral problems as they grow. Welcome again to my Teens and Teens of Friends. It's me, Teacher. And today I will be reading a Reddit post. And interestingly enough, this is a post in the science subreddit from user MVEA. And the title, I guess, is the post because I keep checking and looking back and I don't see like a full post. But it says, soothing toddler tantrums with screen time can cause behavior problems later. When young children misbehave, parents often give them phones or tablets to calm them down. But this over reliance on electronics to help toddlers regulate emotions has potential to cause behavioral problems as they grow. Exilo Arch says, what happened to no screen time until you behave, not so you behave. Rego Apps says, positive reinforcement of unwanted behavior, like Karens getting what they want after they scream at the cashiers. I wonder how that'll pay out when they're adults. Amijes Zito. Some family friends are a real example of lazy parenting. They have a daughter who is now 29 years old. They always did positive reinforcement of unwanted behavior because it is easier. They now do it even with their dog too. Well, that played out that they now have a grown-up daughter who throws tantrums when something isn't like she wants it, crying, screaming. She uses them for money. She is literally incapable of living on her own because she doesn't know how to handle money. A couple of years ago, she literally was crying and throwing food her mom made her because she was sick and lost a little bit sense of smell, etc. We lost a contact now a little bit, but I think she still lives with her parents and doing nothing with her life. Something to Say 11 says, sounds like more than just bad parenting to me. It sounds like some sort of mental illness coupled with possible trauma. Shoepack says, being horribly parented would probably be traumatic. No. The Numb Monk says, I have a friend who was adopted. He was an awesome guy to me, a drummer in punk bands, a drinking buddy, and just cool guy. Though by all accounts, he was a loser. Dead-end jobs, drinking problems, etc. His adoptive parents ended up having 2 children of their own. Both were star athletes and honors society members. The funny part is they had a wall in the basement of their kids' accomplishment, and siblings had tons of trophies and medals. My buddy had an anarchy symbol placard he made in shop class, which they were all raised in the same house, same basic methods, same schools, same stuff all around, which I don't have a real point. Just that nature versus nurture is not a settled debate, and it is far more complicated than positive reinforcement gone bad. Silwu says tantrums are developmentally normal and have nothing to do with misbehaving. Toddlers don't have the emotional capacity to process big emotions and sometimes have an outburst in the form of a tantrum. The user was deleted from this one, and it says, absolutely, and handling a tantrum with a placating device does not teach emotional regulation and reinforces tantrums as a way to get the things they want. Some tantrums, fine, but how you react will have big impact on the behavior and personally going forward. Yeti 5000 says, I'm 34 and I don't have the emotional capacity to process big emotions. Did you play with a tablet? 5 Up the RK4M16 URU says, yes, but now we are not supposed to throw tantrums anymore. Sometimes I just wish for a soundproof room with rubber walls. Me too. And somebody lets all know that you can rent those. They are called rage rooms. X Monster says, the scary part is that if the parents don't teach their kids this, they will continue to be unable to handle their emotions when they grow up. I've been dealing with people in their 60s who still act this way. Mole says, I see if you've met my dad. Eastern Dash Design says, tantrums should disappear by the time a kid is in preschool usually. While it is true it's the normal, it's only to a fault. It's considered abnormal for a kid if they cannot regulate their emotions to a basic degree. CPT NAMR7 says, just became a dad 5 days ago. Every single book states unequivocally that no screens until 2+ years is the only way you should do it. But set a 6-month-old in front of a TV and just watch how immediately enthralled they are. I've seen this firsthand with my nephews. It's easy. Easier than fight for a 14th time this hour to soothe them. In the last 5 days, the longest stretch of sleep I had is 1.5 hours. I'm getting around 4 hours a day. I don't blame anyone for setting the TV on and taking a break. But the science is clear. Intelligence is harmed if you make it a habit. And after the last 5 day sample I've gotten, it's hard not to make a habit of it. Thanks for being honest. A penny packer says, don't let yourself skip too much sleep. It will make you grumpy and will cause you to make poor and unsafe decisions. A man who was lacking in sleep, he forgot his newborn in the backseat of his car on a hot day and comes to mind. When ours was 6 months old, I recall going out to check my mail and leaving my car keys hanging on the key slot 3 days in a row. My neighbor brought them to my door each day, looking a little more worried each time. If it is a choice between letting your kid watch a little TV or not getting any sleep yourself, choose to sleep. I actually think the science is not that clear. What is clear is that children who have more screen time do slightly less well academically and or behaviorally. What is not clear is if it is a casual relationship. There is really no way to tease out and cause and effect. It is just as likely, if not more likely, that parents who have the resources or energy to allow less TV also have the energy or resources, time to spend with their children and teach them useful things. For example, I have some friends that never allow their young kids to use screens, but they can also afford a full-time live-in nanny and a cook and a housekeeper. Guess what? Their kids will very likely be well above average in academics. And I promise you, it will have a lot more to do with the private school, personal tutors, academic advisors, college admissions, consultants, and personal times that both parents can devote to their kid because they have plenty of money. Same thing with stuff like breastfeeding. Absolutely. It's best if you can breastfeed, but as a wise lactation consultant told us, breastfeeding is best, but a mentally healthy mother is way more important. If you take a look at the studies on the advantages of breastfeeding, you will see benefits on average in the 1 to 2% range, barely above statistical significance. The same is true for screen time once you account for as many confounding factors as possible. Basically, what a lot of people are saying now is that it seems that back in the day, screen time was TV time, and there was a common consensus that letting your kid watch too much television was going to harm their brain. Now they're saying letting your child watch the iPad kids can have issues later on down the line. And I agree with the person that says that it seems like you will need to spend more quality time with your child and provide the best education for them that you can in order for them to have the best education possible. But to say that an iPad will ruin a kid is yet to be seen. They're doing the studies on it now. But what I do notice is that it seems like the devices are addictive. So I wouldn't be surprised if later on down the line there was not a screen time anonymous group that explain how people are really addicted to their devices and how they have to go get help because they can't do without them or they really trip out when they don't have them. But I say as much as possible, don't allow your child to use a device as early as and try to prolong giving them a electronic device. For sure, not before 2, and then I would say 10. I know that's irrational this day and age, but I would say 8 to 10 years old. When I'll tell you, if it was up to me, my kids wouldn't have no device. They wouldn't have. Oh well, that's all I have for this Reddit post. This one dates quite far back, but I found it to be relevant given today's time. Thank you again to all my tens and tens of friends for watching. If you are not an official 10, go ahead and click the subscribe button so that you can become one of my tens and tens of friends. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye, 10.